Hello and welcome to our special program, Dial M for Monetise, or why channel partners are key to driving the adoption of network APIs and enabling monetization. I'm Guy Daniels, and during this webinar we will explore how the major Brazilian mobile operators, Claro, TIM and Vivo, are accelerating API adoption with the GSMA Open Gateway initiative. And we will also present a case study on number verification authentication. Well, let's first of all meet our special guests, and I'm going to ask them all to briefly introduce themselves, starting with Raman.
Good afternoon, I'm Raman Mistry. I'm the Open Gateway Channel Partner Lead for the GSMA. The channel partner ecosystem currently comprises of 53 channel partners that span CPaaS vendors, aggregators, system integrators, and hyperscalers.
Hi everyone, I'm Viktorija Radman, Telecom Business Global Director at Infobip, on a headquarter and a global level, talking and bringing to the market APIs from telecom space.
Hi everyone, I'm Leonardo Siqueira from Team Brazil. Good morning from here. I'm in charge of all the data monetization and mobile ads here in Team Brazil, and I'm leading the Open Gateway initiative here.
I'm Ageu Dantas. I'm head of data analytics and messaging here in Claro. Here in Claro, I'm responsible for all the parts of data monetization in B2B business and the CPaaS messaging like the SMS and RSS.
Hi everyone, my name is Leonardo Silva. I'm head of B2B messaging and Open Gateway at Vivo.
Good to see everyone. Thank you so much indeed for taking part in today's program. Now, to begin with, I'm going to hand over to Raman, who is going to conduct our opening fireside chat with Viktorija. Raman.
Thanks very much, Guy. I guess the first question, Viktorija, is really about Infobip and its relationship with the operators. And particularly in Brazil, you've partnered with Vivo, Claro, and TIM. What I would like to ask is, what unique role does Infobip play in helping these operators accelerate their deployments in Open Gateway?
Thank you, Raman, for this question. I think it's very important. So Infobip is in telco space, I would say, from our early start. We started with SMS messaging business, then of course expanding to other channels. What we saw in the last few years is that, of course, mobile network operators are having different monetization stream that they can bring to the market as well, apart from these traditional channels that we are already used to. So that's why we decided to step into Open Gateway, previously called, of course, Mobile Connect, or any other homemade APIs that are there on the market. In Brazil case, we started maybe even 3 years ago. We still didn't have Open Gateway initiative, but we knew that there is a space and market need for these kind of solutions and products. That's why we approach mobile network operators in Brazil that we have today with us that can explain how this started, what they did and how they feel today about the initiative and what we are bringing to them. First of all, I think that we were able to unite them. So they start to collaborate. They start to jointly think about the same use cases and API that they will bring to market. They aligned together with us on a timeline. They aligned how and which standardization to bring, because at the end we started with something that was not Open Gateway Camara. Then we need to transfer and make this transformation and migration to Camara Open Gateway APIs as well, jointly thinking how to do it. So this is what we are doing, trying to collaborate, make them be unite more than they used to be, bringing them together to the table. On top of their APIs, bringing CPaaS platform that Infobip is having to, let's say, combine APIs with other channels that are on the market, and of course, jointly creating go-to-market strategy.
That's a great answer, and you've done a great job there. I think the other area I'd like to focus on is really about your developer ecosystem and the innovation around Camara APIs. So Infobip has a strong relationship with the developer community. And we know that last week you had your big event, Infobip Shift, which is a fantastic event, which I've been to as well. How are you leveraging that network to promote the adoption of these network APIs? And what kind of applications are you seeing built on top of these APIs?
So if you ask me, all these APIs that mobile network operators are having are still something new to the market. Even though, for example, I don't know, SIM swap exists already for years. That didn't came with the Open Gateway and Camara standard. But if you go to market, then you realize that is really something new. And we know today that it's not enough to talk directly with just our enterprises, with banks, fintechs, retail, or whatever. We need to have different sales channels, and developers are one of them. They're the one really developing a different kind of application and bring the additional security authentication level to the real business. Yes, Infobip is having a big Shift conference, which the biggest one in Europe is happening in Zadar. It was just last week here with us. We had as well GSMA again together with the European operators. The same conference is happening in US, and we plan to extend it to APAC region. So the point is, from last year, first time we presented APIs to developers that are coming to that conference. I always saying this because it's very surprising to me. Last year when we were there for the first time, they asked like what network operators are doing on the developers conference. These are the just big giants companies selling the data packages. That is what we want to change. We want to change perspective, how developers are looking at the mobile network operators and how they can access their network, how they can access the data points and from subscribers that anyhow they are communicating with, etc. This is the whole big job in front of us, and we are starting by, of course, exposing those and knowledge and APIs, creating the ideathons, hackathons, etc. with those developers that are coming to our conferences, but to other conferences as well. I know that the operators as well are bringing a different kind of hackathons, etc., because we see that developers community is potentially really big sales channels for these APIs that are now more and more coming. We are not talking anymore about just number verify or SIM swap. Now we are talking about device location, KYC match, quality on demand, and more will come, which is very important that we have understanding on the market. This is all new for all of them, and we need to be present there to find how those APIs and what kind of values we are bringing to them, because this is most important. We need to talk about the values, use cases, not just the like APIs or the language that all of us are used to. Because when we come to developers conference and we said network APIs, usually what they are thinking is how we will access someone's cloud, and we need to change that perspective. This is our role as well.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's great. And having seen it myself, I can see that that's starting to change as well. Just as a related question, I mean, Infobip has several APIs that have been GSMA certified. Why do you see certification as important in terms of helping to drive the benefits and the go-to-market strategy for developing these solutions?
I would say, first of all, standardization is very much important, because previously, I don't know, when I started to work with those APIs was like 5-6 years ago, and then you enter the country and all of the operators, they have same SIM swap solution already available, but completely different. And if you don't have the standard, then it's very hard to bring one unified APIs to the market. And it's so complex, and then you have very poor solution that no one at the end wants to buy. So first of all, standardization is very important. That's why we have Camara. That's why GSMA is leading that initiative. And I'm very happy that the last year or two, more and more operators are joining that initiative and standardization. That's why we believe in Infobip that certification is important, that we are showing to everyone in the ecosystem that we believe in standardization. So if we are certified to the same standard that we trust that is a good one, then we are showing that this is important. It's important that we have as simple as possible solution, as simple as possible API, unified globally, not just on a country level, so we can really scale it on a proper level where we all want those APIs to be sooner than later, I would say.
Great, yeah, and that's a key area of focus that we have within our channel partner workstream at the GSMA. And then just looking forward in terms of sort of challenges and looking to the future, what's the next major milestone in Infobip's Open Gateway strategy in Brazil? Are you looking to expand the usage of your current APIs, or are you looking to expand the portfolio of APIs that you have to market?
I would say both, Raman. I mean, you will probably hear from the operators directly, but they all started together with Infobip maybe 3 or even more years ago, and we invested a lot in the number verification, in SIM swap, etc. So if we are not putting additional effort to bring new enterprises, new developers, new value, new revenue for the operators to existing APIs, they will be asking from where to get the money to invest to new APIs. But we see, talking with our enterprises, that they already understand that 10-year, for example, recycle, for example, device location, KYC match, etc. Those use cases, we see that there is a demand. So we are trying to, I think that as well, that would be from country to country level, because even though, of course, we want to we want to have a global reach of majority of the APIs that are into portfolio of Open Gateway. On the other side, we want to understand specific market, because maybe you will come to one country and SIM swap is really not useful because they already have some different solutions how to tackle this problem, or it's very hard to change the SIM. But in some other market, this is number one demand for that API. So it will be to decide what is demand on the market, to talk directly with operators, making them aware about demand, and trying to see when exactly they can together jointly decide this is the timeline and we can have this API available in 3 months, 6 months, or even a year, doesn't matter. But I would say we need to bring revenue to existing APIs, awareness, enterprises, etc., but already discussing what is the future.
Thank you. It's a great answer. And thanks very much for that insightful conversation about the great work you're doing in Brazil.
Thank you, Raman.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Raman and Viktorija. Very encouraging developments there. Well, before we open up our discussion to our other guests, it's time for the case study that we promised earlier. Leonardo Siqueira of TIM Brazil is going to talk to us about how they are using the number verification and authentication API. So over to you, Leonardo.
Hi, everyone. So here we are going to present the case that we have done here in TIM Brazil about number verification. So what we are seeing right now is the case that we developed from 1.5 years, more or less, and is based on what we really understand that is going to work here in TIM Brazil. Usually before the market, we understand and we realize that it's better to use these in our own ecosystem. So we launched that 1.5 years ago, as I mentioned, and the case that the number verification case should work for 3 things. One is time that the user should work with and deal with in authentication process. The second one is related with their user experience and the friction that the user experience has. And the third one is about the personal interaction, because this could lead for social engineering issues that someone could type or be engaged with some social engineering, and some fraudsters could pick the person and type their number. So first of all, the friction and the time and the personal interaction, it's solved by the number verification case. So what we were seeing is the time we solved with besides the authentication process with traditional methods, we used to have around 20 seconds, and right now we have less than 10 seconds. So it's faster for the user. The second one is friction. The user right now, they don't want in traditional digital ecosystems to do a lot of things. They just want to be on their services. And at the same period, they need to interact and type personal data or one-time passwords that they receive through traditional channels. So what we realized during this Team Fund, it's it's one of the main team apps that we have here, is that we have done more than 4 million authentication process through number verification. And also we fine-tuning the product. We fine-tune the product through this process as well. So right now could work even if the user is under Wi-Fi connection. Enhance the user experience, as I mentioned. So it's a faster way to interact. Is a frictionless as well, and also lead to us to understand whether the product could help the journey in the authentication process. So is also integrated in the SMS ecosystem. So as soon as the user, maybe the API could not work, we have SMS fallback as well. So with that in mind, we run that within Team ecosystem, because what we understand is we need to have these kind of solution. The open gateway solutions could also help our own products. So in our ecosystem, in our DNA, we understand that could help us because we have physical channels, we have digital channels, we have different process that this could work with a 60 million company users company, and as well could work for other verticals. So if it works for Team, could work in the market, and from that we use this benchmark because we address that the issue, and the authentication process usually in the market refers to around 80% verifications, because sometimes the channel will lose the message, the user will mistype the message, the OTP, and so on. And with the API, it leads for almost 100% verification process. So that's why we strongly believe this could work for Team, could work for anyone else in the market. So this is the case that we present here. And as I mentioned, we use that as a benchmark for the other verticals and other markets, because as soon as works for us, should work for the market.
Absolutely fascinating case study there, and it really does demonstrate how telcos can outperform traditional methods across a range of metrics. And yes, we will be addressing the issue of scaling in just a few minutes. So let's return now to our panel and some questions to all of the mobile network operators. The Open Gateway vision is global, but execution happens locally. And we just saw in the case study, as we know from many other examples, that Brazil's been a pioneer in proving the value of APIs. So I'd like to ask you all how you see your experiences influencing global adoption. And we'll come straight back to Leonardo. How do you see your experiences at TIM in influencing adoption elsewhere?
Okay, so we show the case study, and we see APIs as a huge opportunity for telcos in the near future to monetize our own audience and to also to lever on the 5G technology. So it's a way to monetize all the investments that we are doing in this new incredible technology. So about the Brazil is a highly digitalized country, and we have a high mobile penetration. Usually, when you see any kind of digital ecosystem, Brazil usually is the top 5 countries in the adoption of digital banks, social media, all digital service that you can lead with. Brazil is probably one of the top 5 countries in the world. So we saw a huge opportunity for companies like Team Brazil and other carriers here in Brazil because of this digital. As much as this digital ecosystem is very good for the economy as a whole, is also present new challenges for the companies and also for the users to prevent frauds, for example. So we see ourselves in a way that we can help our users to protect them. So in a way that Brazil is, so to deal with the colleagues here, it was quite easy, the early adoption that we made in Brazil, because as soon as Brazil has these market trends and the market economy to digitalized country, it kind of no-brainer decision to lead to the first 4 or 5 APIs related with the security, anti-fraud, and authentication APIs. So it was quite okay, and also Brazil is the market is more divided between the main carriers, and us three we have almost 100% of Brazilian population. So I think these elements help us to help Brazil to be a forefronter, pioneer in the market, and I think other countries could on what we learned here in Brazil, what we saw in Brazil, and what we learned from here, our experience to enhance their adoption as well.
Thanks very much, Leonardo. And let's hear from our other 2 guests on the panel. Leonardo, from Vivo's perspective, how are you seeing your experiences translating to help with global adoption?
Thanks for the question, Guy. Since the program started about 3 years ago, we operators have worked on 3 main fronts. First, we talked with our B2B customers to understand their needs, like reducing digital fraud in financial and technology sector. Second, we agreed on which API should come first to meet those needs. And thirdly, we worked with partners like Infobip to go to the market faster. And I think, in my opinion, these 3 points were key to create a real use case and accelerating the program in Brazil. Perhaps Brazil could show that even in a program, a big program like Open Gateway, there is a possibility to make it real like we did.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hope so. Thank you very much, Leonardo. And we'll go across to Ageu from Claro. Ageu, what about your experiences?
Yeah, Brazil is showing that Open Gateway is not just a concept. It's a scalable business. We are already signing multi-operator contracts with banks using standard APIs here. That puts pressure on the market to catch up, both commercially and technically. We are also influencing the model itself. For example, commercial standardization and multi-MNO go-to-market plans. The ideas are spreading globally because they were proven viable here.
Yeah, they absolutely were proven viable, and it's good to see this spreading globally. So let me ask a follow-up question to our operator panelists. Brazil is one of the first markets where multiple MNOs are collaborating and deploying Open Gateway APIs. So what do you see as the next steps in scaling API deployment across the country? Ageu, let's come straight back to you.
The next step is to move from coverage to consumption at scale. Technically, many APIs are already live across operator, but now we will need to unlock demands. That means enterprise and onboarding needs to be frictionless. One contract, one API, one commercial model across all MNOs. And the other thing is production expansion beyond the identity. We start in Brazil with anti-fraud and identity, but we need to bring APIs like QOD, the quality on demand, and gel fencing and all other gel APIs like device location, fill-in and others in the production. Whereas the value is higher, and more differentiated. Sales activation and channel strategy too is important. Telcos alone want to scale adoption. We need aggregators and channel partnering, pushing APIs into the enterprise stacks here in Brazil.
Yeah, and look forward to hearing developments and progress on that later. Thanks very much for that. And Leonardo, at TIM, you in your presentation there, you talked about scaling as a challenge. How do you see getting around this to scale deployment across the whole of Brazil?
We are now seeing a very fast growing market within what we already launched. So the market is increasing a lot, and we are seeing very good results. For sure, for big companies like us, maybe the expectation is quite high as well. But in any case, the market is dealing with that very well. Our main challenge, I think, is to find a way to reach this market and be perceived as a potential partner for the whole ecosystem, for the enterprises, companies, developers, and so on. So initially, we think we are not as perceived as this partner, and even our B2B sales team, they are operating under a different ecosystem in the supply side. So that's why we think we need in the demand side. Sorry. So we think they need to evolve, and then how we are going to deal with that? We are going to create different partners. So we are going to lever on hyperscalers, CPaaS, and other kind of different aggregators that could help us to drive all these demand and to reach and to bring this demand on our ecosystem. So I think in this way we can push much faster the Open Gateway initiative.
Great, thanks for explaining that. And over at Vivo, Leonardo, what are you looking at as for your next steps in scaling API deployment across the country?
I think there is an opportunity to take advantage of additional channels such as RCS to scale and promote the use of APIs in the smooth customer journeys. Already next year, RCS will become a powerful tool for enterprise to interact with the customer with excellent returns. So Open Gateway APIs will be part of these journeys and make the experience more secure, integrated, and trusted.
Yes, thanks very much, Leonardo. And if I can turn to Leonardo Siqueira, we know that collaboration is essential here, as Brazil has proved. How do you view the role of working with other MNOs in the same market?
So I think is a must do. Usually in the markets you don't have another option. Once we are dealing, so because the needs on the other hand for the brands and companies, they need to use the population as a whole. So if we not collaborate, I think is the lead to the failure. So what we have done here that I think is very useful and the other markets could lever on, it's like, first of all, I think is the product standardization. For sure, GSMA helped us a lot in that, but these help us also internally to lead with this different way of work, because even for our tech teams and so on, that they don't have these as a traditional business to develop new APIs every day. So I think this help from GSMA to do this standardization is must do as well. And once we decide to align our roadmaps, it's quite easy to internalize these issues. I think the second one is more related with the regulatory affairs and also privacy laws. In Brazil, we have LGPD, is a Brazilian law inspired by GPDR. And as soon as we approach in the market, also looking on, and on the other hand, the companies, they need the same solution and the same legal basis to support these solutions, because in the end we are dealing with real user data, real user behavior, and so on. So we need this approach common in a common sense as well. And I think the third one should be centered. The solutions that we are launching should be centered in users and clients, because in a way that we should prevent our users, and they should see this as a solution in the end that could help them and will protect them for the fraudsters and not phishing and so on. And for the other, in other hand, also should be centered in company issues. Brazilian reality, as I mentioned during the case in the first question, is that we are a very digitalized country. So we decided to enter in this ecosystem. But as I think Leonardo mentioned, hearing the users and hearing what they are seeing as their current business problems. So as soon as we are facing that, I think we'll succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much indeed. Ageu, let me come across to you and ask you, because we are seeing a lot of different predictions about new revenues that can be derived from API use cases. But, what's your experience in Brazil? What was the key point, the breaking point where you see revenue growth? What are the most important prerequisites for success and to take that success and ensure future growth?
Yeah, nice. Excellent question. I think in Brazil, the real inflection point came when we moved from POCs to production with monetizable APIs directly embedded in customer journey, especially in banks. Here in Brazil, we really have a lot of big banks using Open Gateway APIs in the onboarding and customer journeys. I think the turning point was when clients stopped testing and start scaling, often tied to fraud prevention or onboarding efficiency. I think these 3 points are prerequisites. The real commercial pressure from enterprises, especially when they see value beyond internal data. And I think the other part is operational readiness at the telco side, stable, observable APIs with standard SLAs. And other thing is the cross-operator collaboration. No one wants 3 integration. They want a single standard APIs. And the other part is in the future growth, we must go beyond identification, like I said in the other questions, QoG, geofence, network APIs, business message. That's where new revenue will come from.
Yeah, absolutely. And good points there, Ageu. Well, let's go across to Leonardo, because I know you've been working jointly with partners on API for 3 years or more now. So how important is it to have trusted channel partners like Infobip to accelerate the adoption, and what benefits do you see in working with them?
Okay, having partners like Infobip is crucial for the success of any initiative with the characteristics of Open Gateway. Open Gateway is a collaborative movement where operators open their network and data assets to B2B customers through APIs. In this chain, partners connect these two sides. In case of Infobip, its experience in API ecosystem and in the digital identity market has been a key factor to accelerate the program in Brazil. I think the biggest benefit is that we can accelerate API adoption in the market while keeping trust and quality for the end customers.
Yeah, so important, Leonardo. Thank you very much indeed. A quick question to the three of you then, if I can. And I'd like to ask, what's your advice to mobile network operators in other markets? What are the key things that they need to focus on? And Leonardo, I'll come straight back to you for your response.
Straight to the point, I think we need to promote even more the proof of concept, the contact with the final brands with the Open Gateway to bring to reality this initiative to more and more companies.
Great. Thank you very much, Leonardo. Good advice there. And let's go to the other Leonardo on our panel, Leonardo from Tim. What are the key things that other MNOs should focus on?
I agree with Leonardo. I think they should keep in mind, I think, three things. One is cooperation and coordination between main carriers. The second one is market awareness, to let everyone knows that companies are having new kind of solution. And the third one is to address real life issues, not seeing just what we are imagine that they are seeing, but they are facing, but chatting with them, discussing with the companies, and understand what their issues and how we can help them to solve it.
Great. Thanks, Leonardo. And Ageu, your advice to those other operators, especially those who are early stages in this journey, what should they focus on?
Yeah, I think it's important to take complete coverage of all major APIs available with all MNOs. This is important. Like in Brazil, we really have the device location check, we really have the SIM swap, number verification, and QAC match. It's important for the market because they want to have these solutions for our population, not only in parts. And the other thing is to expand the portfolio. When you have more APIs, you have more opportunity to have solution cross APIs, like we have in Brazil with some banks. The banks using SIM swap and using number verification together, combine it. And it's important to have more APIs. And the other thing is automate onboarding and observability. Enterprise wants simple access, unified analytics, and productivity support. That requires internal productization inside the telcos, not just exposing endpoints and you only have the APIs. If you only develop APIs and expose we will not have success. You need to coordinate with the other MNOs and have a good analytics for the clients.
Yeah, thank you, Ageu. Absolutely. And great advice from all three of you there to other operators. Well, I have a final question for Viktorija. And Viktorija, I'd like to ask you, you've heard from the operators on the importance of partnerships in bringing these APIs to market. So I'd like to ask you what Infobip's message is to those other operators who haven't started on this journey, and what have been the most important lessons that you've learned so far?
Yeah, I would like to say, first of all, thank you to all the operators that join us today on this recording, because they are so experienced already. Together with Infobip in Brazil, we gather so much knowledge and so much know-how and lessons learned that, or I will just repeat what I already stated, but from CPaaS provider, from someone who is bringing those APIs to the market, it's important, apart from collaboration that they already mentioned, apart from be united on the market, it's important, use those APIs for your own purpose. Create a case study, as Tim already did. Be loud on the market. It's not enough you just sell those APIs to aggregators or CPaaS providers. You need to be engaged. And this is what operators in Brazil are already doing together with us. So, because what Infobip can do if we don't have operators on our back, we will go and discuss with the bank, and then they will say, are you very sure that the operators are giving you the raw data from their database? And if we don't have Team, Vivo, and Brazil together with us, they're loudly stating, yes, these are our solutions, our APIs, our data set in the real time that can help you to solve some of the challenges on different verticals and on the enterprises, we would be very, very, very slow, much slower than we are today in Brazil. So that's my message. Be united and be loud together with your partners that you trust. That can, on top, of course, what we are doing, on top of just selling and reselling APIs, we can bring some additional value, as combining RCS, as Leonardo from Vivo already stated, combine those APIs in a unified solution that some markets need, but jointly discussing what is needed on the market and be loud together with us. This is my final message.
It's a good message, Viktorija, and it's very strong, very clear. Thank you very much indeed. and thanks to all of our speakers. But before we leave, I do want to hand over to Raman, who can give us the very latest news on future events and activities in this space. So Raman?
Thanks very much, Guy. So some exciting activities since the start of this year is the GSMA's Open Gateway team have been working on use case library and case studies as well. Pleased to say we've got 30 really good case studies. These are real world live commercial deployments using Camara APIs. And we're looking for operators and channel partners to add to that use case library. So any innovations that you've done around Camara APIs and launched to market, we want to hear about them, especially those that involve things like quality of communications. So look forward to receiving some input on that. And then just lastly, just to call out some of the events that are going on. In October, we've got MWC Las Vegas and MWC Kigali. And then at the end of November, we've got our first event that we're doing in the Middle East, which is MWC Doha. So we're looking forward to meeting a lot of you at those events, and hopefully these will be a successful event for yourselves.
Thank you, Raman. And we must leave it there now. And thanks to all of our guests for taking part in our discussion today and sharing your considerable experience in developing and deploying APIs. And if you would like further information from the partners and operators featured in this session or any of the topics, please follow the links below the video. And as mentioned, watch out for the upcoming MWC events and those multiple case studies and commercial launches. For now though, from all of us here, thank you so much for watching and goodbye.